Hello everyone, TheSenpaiCode here. So for today's episode, I figured we would go over creating a spring for the spring pad that we want to put in the game here. And I figured we would kind of keep it the same as the spikes. We would do like the base like that and just fill that square area up with a box that we can put a spring under, and then that will boost the person up. So with that being said, if you still have the spikes saved, feel free to just drag and drop and open that file up inside of 3D Studio Max here. If not, feel free to go back to the episode where we did the spikes and make the base box here. I'm just going to maximize on view, and then I'm going to actually just delete these spikes because we won't need them. And then the base here, these circles are the same as they're added on to the base pad here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to restore the viewport. And I'm going to go to the top view here. And I'm just going to convert this to an editable poly so that I can grab the vortexes. And what we can actually do is just grab all of the vortexes from those and leave the ones for the base out and just delete that, and that will give us just the base here. I'm going to go back to the create, and then I'm going to create a box. So I'm just going to put my line where that the line is here, and then I'm just going to fill it the same, and then kind of just do an eyesight of where it should be. I'm going to move it up a bit. And that looks pretty good. And so this would be the kind of the spring pad that we're going to go for. So what we're going to need now is a actual spring. 3D Studio Max actually comes with this good dynamic objects where you can actually create a spring itself. So you just click on spring. I guess I'll have to go to the top view. Let's just put it in the center here. Yeah, right there. Let's just move it. So how high and what's the radius do we want the pad to go up? Probably to about, say, well, I'm going to say about here. So then what we can actually do is increase the turns to give us how far we actually want. We can actually increase the radius. Let's try 10. Bit more turns, and it's all about preference really, and that actually doesn't look that good. Let's try 20. Wire shape, let's go wire shape. Let's make it a bit more skinnier, a bit more fatter. Let's go for it. Something like that. So this will be the size. And it's all about getting what you think your spring pad should look like. So I think this looks alright. I'm just going to move it up a little bit so that it's yeah, about right there. So then let's select this and move this up and see what it's going to look like. So it's going to be about right here. So the pad will come up about this high, if this looks alright for everyone else. And then it's all about what you want to do to hold it in there for the base. If you just want to have something like this, and then it just looks like it goes in or goes, yeah, something like this would work. I always think about extending this part out a bit and then making a kind of a bolt thing on, which I may do later. I just want to kind of get the basics to show you guys how to actually program an animation in, and this would actually be a really good way to program that in by code. So this looks good. So what I actually want to do is just click on this. I'm going to actually first I'm going to save it just to have a save. So save as. So now that we have the spring down, let's just go to the inspector here and do bound to object pivots. Pick the top, then let's just pick the top, and then pick the bottom, and pick the bottom. Now sometimes I'm hoping it won't. So now that that's done, let's just go. But it moved it down a little bit. So I'm just going to click on this. I'm just going to select the pivot points. I'm just going to select both of these and pivot this down just a bit rather than moving the spring. So let's just go back. Let's just grab the top here, and it still works. But yeah, so here we go. We got our little jump pad created. So when it goes down, it should go down all the way like this, and the spring folds up, and then when they hop on it, it bounces out. And then we could do something like that before it resets. I think that looks all right. So let's get to animating this. Okay, so let's start recording here. Let me just reset. So it's been a while since I actually used 3D Studio Max to actually record. It's pretty simple though. Down here you have your time configuration, and this is one of the tools that we may use in its record. Its playback is in real time, and we can actually adjust the speed to 1/4 or a half, or 1, 2, or 3, or 1, 2, or 4 times the speed. We can have it loop and everything, and this we may use depending on if we need to adjust the speed or not. So I just opened up Notepad just to kind of write the time, the position where we want it actually to be. What let's see, it's going to be Justin on the z-axis. I'm just so let's see, 4.7. What will that give us? So I think 4.7 will be okay. So I'm just going to write that as the starting number just so that we have something, and then I'm going to actually bring this up to where we want it to kind of be, and then kind of round it off. So maybe 35, 34. So let's go boing, boing up to, let's go 30. So let's just undo that, back down. Okay, so now that's where our top and bottom is going to be, 4.7 and 30. So I'm going to auto key, and then the time I'm just going to have right there. I'm just going to set the first key. So this is going to set the base right here, and then we're going to go up to 30. So we hit enter, and that brings us up to 30. And then from 30 we will go, oh whoops, let's go back down to 4.7. We want that there. Sorry about that. We want to adjust this to where we want it to go, how fast we want it to actually go. So let's go from there. Let's let's try 20. We can always adjust the keys, and then let's go to 30. And then when we hit enter, then it's going to auto key it there. And then let's go to 30 now, and then let's go down to, let's try 25. And then from there, let's go up to 29. Let's go 29. And then let's go to 26. And then 27. And keep it at 27 for maybe 2. Or let's go 27.1. Just to put a key there. And then from there, let's reset it down to, oops. Yeah, well, let's go down to the 4.7. So let's see how that looks. So it's going to bounce up and then go down. But it's pretty slow, like I said. We could adjust the time, the speed of this. Let's try the speed first before we do anything. So let's go 2 times and hit OK. Boing, and then reset, boing, and reset. That actually looks all right. Boing, and then it will reset. So they jump on it, boing, resets. And that's kind of how you would record. But if you don't want to adjust the time, or the time's not adjusting in 3D, not in 3D Studio Max, in Unity, we can always come back and we can move these keys to where we actually want it to go. So we can actually move the keys here. I'm going to save this right now just to have it saved. So if we're animating this for 3D Studio Max, this would be all that we would need to do. But if we export this as an FBX the way that it is, this spring is actually going to be independent from the animation. but we're going to have to actually modify this spring itself, but at least now we know kind of where to put it. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to convert this to an editable poly. Actually, let's go editable mesh. And then I'm just going to bring this down to where it's supposed to go here. So about here. So let's go ahead and just scale this down. Oh, make sure the add keys is also on. So let's just move this down to about there. Then let's move this up to where it's supposed to be, and it should go back up to 100 on the Z. I guess we can just move this up here. Let's just get a better angle. Check that out. No, it's a bit too high. Okay, and then let's go to the next one, which will be right here. And then we're just going to move this down. And then let's go back up to where it should be next. And let's just move this up. We're going to do this for every key. So, oh, oops, cancel. I don't know what I just clicked on. Sorry about the noise. I got some guests over. So I'm going to speed this up just so that we don't have to listen to my guests, and we can get through this really quick. So I'll see you guys when I'm done. And right there, that would be the kind of animation. It's not as good as the other animation. If people aren't looking at this, it's fine. If they are, I would recommend doing bones. We'll get into that later. I know this episode's going to drag on, so I don't want to really get into bones later, but we could create bones and then at the start and end, and then go through the process of that. But if people aren't going to see, like they're going to be, this is going to be by their feet, so they shouldn't be able to see it. So this hopefully should work for now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to export as a FBX. So export. So I'm just going to save it as jump pad. And then I'm going to save it. Just make sure that the animations are all attached. Hit OK. And then it's giving me a warning. I'm not going to look over it right now. Let's just hit OK. And then I'll see you guys inside of Unity. Alright, here we are in Unity. So I'm going to go to the model folder, and I'm going to make a file by going create folder. I'm going to name it jump pad. And that way we can actually just start keeping everything. If it needs to have textures and stuff, then we can. But let's just throw this jump pad in there. And then let's go ahead and just drag and drop it there. So it is pretty big. So let's go ahead and what was the spikes sized to? Because we want about the same size as that, 39 by 39, so 0.39. So we'll just go 0.39, oops, by 0.39 by 0.39. So it does have the animator on it, but there is no animation clip or anything on it just yet. So let's see what all, and here's the animation right here. So all we need to do is just grab this take, drag, and drop it in like so. And it'll give us this jump pad. So now, where's my character? He's probably up top still, isn't he? Or is he inside? Yeah, he's inside. Let's just move him outside here. So now, when we hit, I'll just lower him, play. So there's our jump pad, and it activated on start, which we don't want, but we will be coding in the script for it. So let's just hit play again just so you guys can see it. So it bounces up and it goes down. So whenever the player jumps on it, we're going to get that, we're going to activate that animation, and get him to bounce up. And then we're not going to have it play on awake. I actually want to move this up a little bit more because it's in the ground right there. Okay, so now that we have everything set up, let's go ahead and get this animated, get the trigger and everything set up. So first thing we got to do is add a collider or trigger. So let's go ahead and just hit the game object, go to 3D object and make it a cube. And it's putting it right where this is, so that's good. Let's go collider and just name it as a collider. You can name it trigger or whatever you want. And then let's just put this inside the jump pad here. And let's make sure that's a trigger. Let's turn off the mesh renderer and let's just resize it. It's actually in the center of it, so I don't need to reposition it. If it's not in the center for you all, just go ahead and zero everything out. And that should, actually there we go, it's a bit better now. And let's just rescale it down. Move it up a bit so we can actually see a little bit more down. And this will be our trigger effect. So there's a few things that we actually need to do. Let's go and click on the first box in the jump pad and let's just make sure that the physics mesh collider is on so that they can't walk through it when they step on it. And same with the top spring here. Let's just add another physics mesh collider, sorry, to the object. So there is going to be a problem if you just take the animation and drag and drop it on. As you all are probably finding out, there will be a pop-up here saying make sure that it's legacy. This isn't an actual legacy video thing that we have animation. So what we want to do is just go to rig animation and make sure that it's on legacy and hit apply, and that will fix any legacy problems that you guys might have. I will actually make a separate video on this for people who are actually having that problem. You used to be able to come up here, hit debug and do it up here, but sometimes it's shaded out like it is here, although it's not right here, and it would actually be in the clip itself. You used to actually be able to come up here and hit debug and then change it to legacy, but you can't do that for some reason with this. So let's just get back on track here. So now that it's on legacy, let's just go ahead and go to the jump pad here. So the animation should be on it now. And we want to make sure that play automatically is off, because as you've seen before, it was playing on start. So now when we actually play it, it's not going to play on start. It's going to wait until we actually tell it to actually play. So this is a parent of the collider. So what we actually want to do now is go into our scripts and just right click, create a C# script and name it spring or name it launchpad, name it whatever you want. And this is what you'll have the start and the update, and this is what I've added into it. So I've added a public void on trigger enter collider other. So if the other .name with the tag player, which we have our player tagged as is player, then it will do something. And what we want it to do is the transform.parent. So the parent of this transform, so the jump pad being the parent, we want it to get the object and get component animation. So it's getting this animation and we want it to play the clip. And then that will actually get the clip to play. So I did create another function in the advanced movement called spring. So it's also going to get find object of type advanced movement spring. So it's going into our advanced movement. And here's what I kind of put for now. I put this public void spring, and then all I did was put this dot get component rigid body add force vector 3 up, and I'm timesing it by 600. And for now, this is what I'm going to be using for the spring. This isn't really the proper way to do it, but it's getting down to some time in this recording, so I figured I'll just put this here just to get the animation to play when we actually play it. So let's go ahead and add that onto the collider here. So the spring script, let's just drag and drop it on. So now when we play it and when we hit the spring, boom, and the animation plays. So I can land, oh, and I landed near the wall. So when we hit it again, let me just move over. and the animation plays and it goes down. So this animation is a bit slow for my liking. I would like it to just pop up and then go down. So I will have to go back into 3D Studio Max and speed it up. That's basically how you program a animation in. How I was talking before is why I crossed it out. There is another way to do it, but this way works good. So I'm just going to cross that out. And then if you're not actually calling it for the parent and you're calling it through itself, then you can just get rid of this part right here and just say get objects dot get component game object, sorry, dot get component animation dot play. And that's how simple it is to actually play an animation through a collider for springs, for spikes. If you have a spike and you want it to be more of a censored type thing, then you can do something like that. But yeah, so hopefully you guys like this tutorial on how to actually get a spring, animate it, and everything. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it.
The fire burns as the feeling